Good morning, evening, everyone. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Current Podcast. I am Pittsburgh Current editor Charlie Deitch, and this week we have our music issue, hot off the press and on the streets, and there's a lot of great stuff in there. One of my favorite pieces in there is a story on the band called the Lopez, and that was Hobby Lobby, a new song from the Lopez that is on their new album, Heart Punch. Steph Flati is here with us tonight. Steph, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So this was when we knew our music, when we knew our music issue was coming. This was a story that I really wanted us to do because for background, for fans who don't know, the Lopez is a band, punk band that's been around Pittsburgh for quite a while, and tragically in October, Steph's husband Jesse Flati passed away, and they were finishing up this record, Heart Punch, and that record is going to be released Saturday, May 11th, 7 p.m. at Spirit. And Steph, thanks for coming to talk about the record and Jesse and everything going on.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the record release event. I got to think it's kind of a bittersweet moment for you.
Yeah. Every day I'm just like, I can't believe this is even happening, because when I look at the lineup, I'm just like floored that these people even all agreed to like play the show that I was putting together.
Yeah, and the lineup: Grand Buffet, Joe Jack Talcum, Samus, the Maxi Pads, and more. Yeah, you want to talk about the more, maybe, if there's anyone that you want to specifically mention.
So basically, just some things just kind of fell into place magically. Yeah. So I just think of that as like Jesse like helping me do this, because I can't do anything by myself. But I just tried to think of like his favorite Pittsburgh bands. Yeah. So like Rue and Swamp Block, of course, like first came to my head. And then the Maxi Pads, Joe from the Maxi Pads is one of our great friends, and he was in our last video, and I've been begging the Maxi Pads to play Lady Fest for the past couple years, and he's just like, no, we can't, like I'll talk to them, but and then it's always like, oh, we can't do it, you know. And then for this he was like, we're gonna do it.
Wow,
we're gonna do it. And I was like, holy crap. And the Dead Milkmen were one of Jesse's favorite band, one of his favorite bands. We got to open for them once, and we both like completely couldn't believe it. And then Joe Jack said that he would play the show. Amazing. And then he was like commenting on my Facebook post today, and I was like texting my friend Zach, like, is this real? Like, is this really happening? Like, Joe Jack Talcum is like posting in my like Facebook event.
Yeah.
And Grand Buffet, basically my brother-in-law, but they're just
that's a great lineup, and they're gonna play. Are they gonna play cuts from the record? Or are they gonna play their own show? Or how
everyone's doing their own thing. Yeah. Like everyone's gonna play probably like a 25-minute set, except for Grand Buffet and Joe Jack. They'll probably play maybe 45 minutes. I just was like, play however long you want. But our friend Spat, who is known around here for DJing 80s Night at Belvedere's back in the day, he moved to Leeds, so he's actually coming in to DJ the show. So he'll be playing our record. Songs from the record in between bands and stuff, and just DJing with like our record collection.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, you and Jesse were partners in life long before you were partners in music. Tell us a little bit about how you guys met, where you met, and.
Yeah, we met in college. He was a senior and I was a freshman, and he was like running some booth at like the activities fair, and I came to the activities fair. And that's how we like met. And then we just kind of had the same group of friends. And then, I think the first time we ever even hung out, we were all like hanging out super late in like somebody's dorm room. And he was like, who wants to go like get food at like 4 a.m? And I was like, I will. And I remember like sitting in Eaton Park on McKnight Road and like being just like dumb college kids. Like I was like, let's pretend we're like boyfriend and girlfriend and like, I love you. Blah. And then, I think we started dating. I probably didn't even start dating until after that, because we didn't start dating until 2001, like the end of 2001.
Yeah. So then at some point you moved to Philadelphia. Is that when you started playing music, when you moved to Philadelphia?
Yeah. Yep. We moved to Philly in the end of 2003. And then we didn't even start the band. I think it's like fuzzy. He remembered all the facts. Like I don't remember like dates and stuff. But I think it was like 2006 or 2007 we played the show that like we were just messing around playing music with our friend Jason, and then his girlfriend was like, "Oh, I need a band to like open the show that I'm booking." And we were like, "Oh, we'll play some of these like shows or these songs we've been like messing around with." And then that's kind of how it started.
Did you have a background in music, or was it just sort of like a hobby? Or?
I had nothing. Like I just loved music, you know. Jesse could play it. He'd hate me for saying this because he wouldn't agree, but he could play like any instrument. And he was just self-taught. Like he just like could pick up an instrument and be like, you know, whatever instrument you'd hand to him, he could figure it out. But for me, it was like I was just the front person. Like I just jumped around and like yelled. And then whenever we decided to be a two-piece is whenever I was like, I got to play something to like, you know, fill in all the space that was missing from the other people. So
that's amazing. And so where did you guys develop your sound? Was it just sort of from messing around a little bit, or did you go into it knowing what kind of music you wanted to play? Or
that's a good question. I don't know. We always wanted to be like noisy. Always wanted to be fuzzy. Always wanted there to be feedback. You know, we love like the dancey, you know, effect you get from having the drum machine, even though we had our friend Dave drumming for us for a little bit. I think it just happened. And there's definitely a sound because like I've said before, it's like, I just hear just listening to you play that, like the feedback at the beginning of Hobby Lobby. I'm just like, that's the sound.
Did you guys write together lyrics and music, or what was the process between you two?
He was definitely like he would write like the music, like the harmonies, melodies, and stuff like that. And I would like throw in my 2 cents, but I don't think it really did anything. But you know, and then I've said this a million times, like something would piss us off, like whether it was just a person or a thing or something someone did or said, or you know, and then we'd be like, we have to write a song about that. We have to write a song about that person, or we have to write a song about like that day or whatever. And then I would, you know, put words together, and you know, sometimes he'd be like, "Oh, that line's so cheesy, you can't say that," you know, and like I'd change it up or whatever. So there was like, you know, some back and forth, but he was a musician. He'd get pissed because I'd always be like, "I'm not a musician," you know, and he'd be like, "You play an instrument. You're a musician. Stop saying that."
He didn't want somebody in his band saying they weren't a musician, for God's sake. What would people think, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I just never saw myself as a musician because I just was like making noise. But like, that's kind of what like punk rock is. Like, pick it up and like make it do what you want it to do. Try to make it do what you want it to do.
Did you kind of notice the point when you went from sort of just, you know, fooling around with music to say, hey, you know what, this is pretty good stuff. This is decent stuff. Let's
I feel like after maybe the Travel Fast cassette came out, like we started to kind of take ourselves more seriously because we were going on like, you know, we drove to California twice on tour and back, you know, and played shows the whole way. We booked it all ourselves. We met a ton of people, a ton of cool bands. People liked us, and like people hated us, but like the people who liked us, like really liked us, you know, like we got a lot of like great feedback, and we're like, shit, like maybe we can like, we can do this, you know? So I feel like there was a time in there where we were like, all right, cool. Like we can keep doing this for a while.
And was Jesse's main focus music? Did he do anything else? Was he sort of working full time in music at the time?
I think he would have loved to have only done music. I mean, he was even just recently talking about like having a solo project. Manny had approached him about doing like the experimental guitar night. And I think that kind of got his wheels spinning. Like he was like, cause you know, I'm a middle school art teacher. Like I work 40 hours a week. I'm like, you know, juggling all this crap. He was doing custom framing in Squirrel Hill. So like he, you know, and he was doing freelance graphic design. So we were just like very busy. But I think he just, his heart was in like music, and he had so many songs. I mean, there's so many unfinished songs on his computer, like as we speak, that like were like future Lopez songs or his solo project that he talked about, you know? So just, he was pretty like prolific like that. He would just, in one weekend come up with all these ideas. But, you know, as a band, you can only put out so much at a time.
I have to point out that nobody's here is going to say Manny's last name, because if you don't know who Manny is, that's sort of for those of us that know Manny, I think Manny's enough. So we're gonna as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, Manny. So you talked how much stuff would you say that Jesse had done that he has in the
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I mean, just there's tons of like garage band files that it might just be him playing a guitar into it, or like him playing a guitar and like adding a little drum beat, or like him like humming a melody over a guitar track, you know. And that's kind of the stuff that's like kind of really hard for me to even like listen to, you know. And like on my phone I have a million voice recordings of us just like playing and sitting around trying to figure stuff out. And it's like, on one hand I'm like, I'm so glad I have this stuff because I can just listen to it and be like, all right, feel like I'm, you know, he's there with me or whatever. But on the other hand, it's like, it's just really overwhelming to like have that stuff and not really know what to do.
What was the timing of had you guys finished the record at the time that Jesse passed? And then talk to me a little bit about what the process was like to decide to go ahead and release Heart Punch, the new record from the Lopez, which we'll talk about the name in a minute, because I know our friend Mike Stewart here will love the lineage of that. But I can't imagine what that was like to try and make that decision, but also then do the pre-production.
So it was all recorded.
We
were almost done mixing it. So like Madeline and I think maybe met like twice to finish the mixing, and it was done. But there's a funny post, I think, on like mine or Madeline's like Instagram, where I just like messaged her and I was just like, let's fucking make this record. And she was like, I was hoping you were going to say that. She was like, I didn't know if you were going to be like, I can't do this right now. She's like, but I knew it was going to go either way. Like, you were either going to be like, absolutely not, or you were going to be like, fuck yes, we have to do this like right now. And I mean, I can't, like, what's the point in stopping? Like, that stuff needs to get out there. We were both so proud of this record. Like, days before he died, like I remember standing in like the stairs in our house, and like he was at the top of the stairs and I was at the bottom, and I was listening to the record in the car today. I had like CDs that Madeline had given me, and I was like, I'm really like hopeful and like excited about this. And he was like, me too. Oh my God. Like I was thinking the same thing, you know? Cause it's easy to like give up when you're just like in a little band, you know, to be like, fuck it. Like just, you know, it's so much work, you know, a lot of the times, and money and stuff to put stuff out sometimes. So we were both just feeling so good about everything. Like good.
What was the writing process like for the record? Was it stuff you'd already had been working on or in the can, or is it material that you put together specifically saying, you know, that you're ready to put out your next full length?
It was kind of a mixture. It was like, we were like, all right, I think we might've had like maybe 13 songs that we recorded with Madeline, and we knew we wanted it to be 10.
Right.
So we were like, we got to cut like the 3 songs, but then like as we were because we recorded, Madeline said we started on November 11th, 2016 in our attic. And the day Madeline and I finished it was November 11th, 2018. Wow. So it was exactly, it's 11/11, which is crazy. To the day, it was 2 years to the day that we finished. But while we were recording, we were still like writing. So there were new songs that kind of jumped in, and then there were songs that, you know, got cut. So when it was all said and done, I think we had like 13 songs, and then we cut it down to the 10 because we just wanted to be like lean and mean.
And I do want to point out that it is Madeline Campbell of Tree Lady Studios.
Well, she actually has her own place. She doesn't work there anymore. She has her own studio now called Accessible Recording.
Accessible Recordings. Yeah. I donated. That was a great project that she had, and it's so great when someone's dream can just sort of come true. Madeline's a great person, so she definitely deserves it. We should have her on someday, because
you should definitely have Madeline on, because she will have so many stories for you. So many stories from the road now, I'm sure.
Do you have and you know, I hate to, I don't want to bring up any, you know, anything that's too tough for you to talk about, but any memories of making the record that favorite memories or that you remember when you're making the record that sort of stand out to you?
just like, goofing around the studio, bringing food all the time, like pizza, breadsticks, bringing coffee, running out to get stuff, talking a ton of shit. I mean, Jesse would get pissed because he'd be like, all right, when we get in there today, like, you guys need to just like chill. Like, we gotta hunker down. We gotta work, because every time we'd get into the studio, Madeline and I would be like talking for like an hour. Like, oh my God, did you see this? Did you see that? Like, talking about shit. And Jesse would just be like, all right, let's get to it. Come on. But he did his fair share too.
Yeah.
Talking and gossiping with us.
Everybody that I've ever heard talk about Jesse, he was really a great dude. Like, a lot of people, I think, really appreciated his music, but also just appreciated that he was a good dude who'd do anything for you. And that's why we had done a piece actually early on when we first started out last late summer, maybe. We did something on you guys, and then when it was a shock when Jesse passed, and I don't want to get into too much to it, but I assume it was something that just kind of came out of the blue, something you guys that took you by surprise. He hadn't been as sick.
No. Yeah. And we were in the very first edition of the Pittsburgh Current, so
that's when it was. It
has
was
my
July 11th.
Special place in my heart. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was like our relative, who's a doctor, like, looked at the medical report and said it was a lightning bolt.
Wow.
And it just was like, I mean, he was just, it was just a split second. Wow. So, and it's heredity's like a real bitch, because Jesse was a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Barely ever drank. Like, if you saw him out, he might have had like a glass of whiskey, especially when you're DJing, got free drinks.
Right.
But like, he was not, he was a healthy fucking dude, And that's the thing. It's like, you just don't know. So like, I'm like, squeeze everybody tight.
Right.
Because you can be like really blindsided by some of this stuff.
And I was talking to Margaret, Margaret Welsh, who wrote a story. She sat down with Steph and some other folks and talked about the new record, and they talked about Jesse. It seemed he does seem like, and I've actually in the past, I have talked to Jesse on the phone a couple of times when he would call about some things music wise, but I never met him in person. But from what people have said about him, he really, it's a tragedy, but he really did squeeze a lot into his life. He made the most of his life. Yeah. And I think that's amazing. And that's why I think the record is a great testament to that.
For sure. I just keep like being so thankful that we didn't spend more time like cleaning the house and shit.
Right.
You're like, oh, I'm like a slob or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're like, he did all of these amazing things in the like short amount of time that he had, and just being out there and traveling and playing music and meeting people and all that stuff. So
this is the Pittsburgh Current Podcast. We are here with Steph Flati, and we're talking about the Lopez new record, Heart Punch. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the name, because as we were, everyone knows here at Sorgatron Media, in the heart of Beachview's business district, wrestling is always the key topic of conversation. And Jesse loved wrestling, correct? Yeah, I mean, he was a huge fan.
Totally. He might be pissed that I'm telling you that, and I'm telling everyone that nowadays, but no.
That's okay.
He did. I mean, he really did.
It was embarrassing. I think now everybody can be open about their wrestling.
Yeah, I think it's cool now.
Well, let's talk about the title Heart Punch, because that has some, has a lot of meanings, but it also has that bit of wrestling lineage.
Yeah. And that's what, so the Heart Punch is this wrestling move where you just like punch the guy in the heart,
right?
And my thought for Jesse had already seen the front cover of the record. We already decided on the title, decided on the front cover. Lizzie Solomon is a genius. She illustrated it. So then for the back cover, which Jesse didn't see, I was like, I want to have like a wrestler for each song. I want to have 10 wrestlers, one for each song, illustrated by our dear friend Brandon Horitzik in Portland, Oregon. But I was like, I want it to be 10 wrestlers that use the Heart Punch as their finishing move. So we started researching, and I don't know if you guys know Joe Melba, but he's a local. I already mentioned him earlier because he's in the Maxi Pads. But he and our friend Brandon and I were like kind of researching, trying to find 10 wrestlers who use the Heart Punch as their finishing move. Yeah. But we couldn't. We came up with like 8. and some of them were like a little bit shaky. We're like, did they use the heart punch as their finishing move? Shit.
I don't know if I could come up with 8.
We didn't want it to be like bullshit. So our friend Brandon just illustrated. He kind of like invented 10 wrestlers for the back cover. They like look very like old school, like, you know, and they're like, you know, unitards and stuff. And so the back cover is kind of like 10, I think, mostly fictional wrestlers. Some of them resemble people you might know.
Is there an Ox Baker like individual in the back?
Yeah,
I think he's probably one of the most famous users of the heart punch.
Yeah.
I also used the heart punch a lot on my brother when we would wrestle growing up. That was my first finisher, was the heart punch, and yeah, so that was
the most direct way.
It is. If you want to get to the heart, you just gotta, you know, and that's what I always said. You got to fold the arm back, and you got to, you know, clot up the flow of blood, and that's when you deliver them. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I always thought.
One time, I remember telling Jesse, like, I didn't think that the Boston crab or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, that doesn't even look like it hurts.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, let's do it. And he like put me in the Boston crab, like on the floor, like in our living room. And I was like, sure. Like after like 2 seconds, I was like, no.
I want to point out there was a video. I'm pretty sure it was real. That was, it's kind of a Boston crab-ish. The walls of Jericho appear to be used at the end of an MMA match to tap somebody out. So it's real.
Yeah. It hurts. Like it looks like nothing. But then when someone does it to you,
I think it's awesome that you did that as adults, because my brother and I used to do that stuff to each other all the time. When we were little, and and so that's awesome.
Yeah, Boston crab, don't fuck with it. The heart.
Yes, look up Boston crab and then try it on your partner, significant other tonight.
Yeah, try it. You might like
as fun as it. You might like it. It could lead to amorous feelings. Who knows? Do you have a favorite song on the record?
Oh, that's a hard question. I love the way the song Gremlin sounds because it's so different. And that was like all Jesse. Like he and Madeline, like I don't even think I was in the studio the one day because I was in like Israel or something. And when I came back, I was like, whoa, like what happened to Gremlin? It sounds so different. Yeah. It's like awesome. But like he just was like, I think messing around with like different guitar sounds and like was trying this like weird echoey, like ethereal kind of thing. And it sounds so awesome. But I think like the song Trouble has like a very like special place for me. Because the lyrics are just like, I was watching an interview recently with Courtney Love and she was like saying like, I'm not psychic, but my lyrics are. And when I think about like Trouble, it's like, there's so much in the lyrics of that song that I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? Like we were singing that for like, you know, in public and like, you know, so that's like a sad one. I mean, it's like all the songs I think are like, they have their mix of happy and sad. So and a lot of the songs are very sarcastic.
Right.
So like if you're listening to it and you're like, what the hell? They're talking about a roller skating party. Yeah.
Did Jesse have a favorite that you know of?
I think he liked Hobby Lobby. I think he was more of the type that like he would like certain lyrics and be like, oh, that's such a good lyric. And like months later, we'd be like listening to the song back and he'd be like, man, did you say blah, blah, blah in that song? Did you say, how about Return of the Mac? Was that one of the lyrics? So, and then, you know, he would like, I think, feel like parts of songs and be like really attached to them.
Yeah, that's great. And at the show, which is Saturday, May 11th, 7 p.m. at Spirit.
Which is Jesse's birthday.
Which is, yes, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, that's Jesse's birthday. And is that, I mean, I guess you could have made it at any point. So I guess that was, did you kind of target that date at some point and decide that that's the day to bring it out?
It was kind of like, I was like, it can't be right now. You know, it has to be like in a few months so I can like get my act together and stuff. Yeah. And when I saw it was a Saturday, I was like,
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, we'll see if we can make that work. And then it just gave me like a nice enough window of time to like plan everything, book everything. And like, I still don't even have the covers for the records in hand right now. So next week is going to be insane. But there's going to be so much stuff inside this record, like physical stuff. Yeah. That's really cool that I have that is beautiful. So
it needs to be pressed on gold vinyl, correct?
Yeah, I have the vinyl. Yeah. It's gold. It's metallic. It's like shimmery.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
And again, that's Spirit, 242 51st Street in Lawrenceville. $10, and proceeds benefit the homeless cat management team. You can go to spiritpgh.com for more details. But you just told us before we sat down that you hadn't announced yet, but there's going to be a special sort of unveiling at the party this weekend on the 11th. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So our good friend Anna Azizi, who directed the video for Like a Prayer that we were wrestling in. Mike, if you've never seen it, you should check it out. We're both in like singlets, like wrestling on the floor throughout the video. So Anna Azizi directed that, and then they also directed this. They're directing this new video called for the song "Sell It," and it's all mostly claymation. It's all animation. I'm in it. Jesse's in it. Our friend Bree is in it, dressed up as both of us. So I have had very little. I mean, aside from creative input, like there's only a little bit of actually like me filmed in it.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty cool.
How long ago did you get that finished?
That's still not finished. But it will be finished by next Saturday. But Anna was just sending me clips yesterday, and it's just gonna be really something.
That's awesome. So yet another reason to go and check out the show. As we're sort of starting to wind down a little bit, so let me ask you an awkward question. Not really awkward, but so where do you see yourself musically heading at this point? As you said, we talked initially. You and I have been talking for quite a while about the story, and then about the podcast. And I had originally said, oh, maybe we could, maybe you wanted to do some of the songs, and you said, look, you mean the Lopez's, this is the kind of the last run of Lopez, this record. What about you musically? Do you have thoughts about getting back into it, or?
It's hard to say, even because I wouldn't have even ever probably been in a band if it wasn't for Jesse, being like encouraging and stuff. I was in a Go-Go's cover band in Philly, and then I was in a band called Dream Phone here in Pittsburgh. And there's been like whisperings of like us reuniting and stuff, but I think for me, like creatively, like our band, everything I did like musically was so much about us and like inside jokes and like our experience together, like all the songs. Like there was a band recently, a local band, who asked me to sing a few of the Lopez songs with them at a show. And as much as like I love that band, and I was like, oh yeah, I could totally do it, I was like, it just doesn't feel right, because they're like our songs. And
absolutely.
But I don't know. I'm not like dying to get into like a band or playing shows or anything. I'd totally be up for helping people book tours, and I'll go on tour with your band and like do your merch table.
That's awesome.
But I'm gonna continue to DJ. Like I DJ every first Sunday at New Amsterdam, so I'm gonna continue to do that. And then I've been asked to DJ other stuff, just like other events and stuff like that. So at least just keeping it alive like that, because Jesse's record collection needs to be like played and heard, and I'm not going to just like let it sit there.
That's awesome. And then Lady Fest, which you mentioned earlier. I mean, let's tell folks about Lady Fest. That's something. How long has that been going on now?
I don't know. It's so like nebulous, because there's been so many people like involved over the years and stuff. This might be like I'm just going to guess, it might be like the 6th year or something like that. But I'm not going to really start planning that in like earnest until after this is over. I moved it back, so this year it's going to be in September. It's going to be the last weekend of summer, and it's all going to be at the shop.
Nice.
So instead of like moving around and doing it at all these different venues, like Lori from the shop was like totally cool. And the shop right now is like not active, but she said by September everything will be good. And I think I kind of just want to keep it like more local. And like focus on like bands that maybe haven't played it yet, and just not have so many touring bands, and really focus on like donating money to the women's shelter, and not worry so much about sponsors and paying people and money, and just have it as like an event that is good for everyone. And
how did that all start? What was the onus for Lady Fest?
My friend Athena started it, years ago, and it was like a one night thing, I think at Howlers. It just got bigger and bigger every year, and I started helping her. And actually her husband passed away a couple of days before Lady Fest the one year, and I was like her right hand man. And then I had to really jump in because she was dealing with a lot of personal stuff. And I think after that year, she was like done with it. And then I just kind of took over. Ironically, because now I'm kind of alone again too, because a lot of my helpers were just kind of like, it's too much work and people have other stuff they want to focus on. So yeah. So this year it's probably gonna be a lot smaller. But
still, it's always
quality
been a good show. It's always
over
been,
quantity.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say, but I'm a little tongue-tied when it comes to making sense.
Maybe we can get some lady wrestlers to come and like
that's a great idea.
Little side thing.
Oh, I saw the light bulb go off over Sword's
Let's talk about that later. That'd be really cool.
Before we go, I just want to again tell you again how much that I think that you and Jesse have meant to the Lopez has meant to the Pittsburgh music scene, and I think that's it's really cool that you're having this event and that the record's going to get out there. And if you were to I think it's just it's a good event to come out and celebrate the music and celebrate Jesse and have a good time. So we want everybody out there.
Yeah. I can't wait. I can't believe it's actually happening. I'm just like so excited about it. I can't even think. It just doesn't seem like it's real.
And you can get Heart Punch. Do you want to give your socials and your various ways to get in contact or to get the record? And
yeah, so right now the only way you can get it, well, it's going to start streaming on Monday through the Gray Estates. So starting on Monday, the Gray Estates will be streaming the whole record and you can listen to it. And then I'll have the physical copies and cassettes from Crafted Sounds at the show. So I'll have records, cassettes, and digital stuff, digital download codes and stuff. And then after the show, or if you can't make it to the show, I'll just have everything else up on Bandcamp. So it's thelopez.bandcamp.com.
And you brought that up. I wanted to mention that Crafted Sounds just put out is an anniversary record, I think, or it was a special collection of songs, and the Lopez is on that as well. And
yeah.
So you could read about that also on pittsburghcurrent.com. We had that in our last issue. So yeah, what song is on there?
So the song that's on there is I think the first song we ever worked on together. It's called Gates of Heaven.
Yeah.
And we've released it a couple times in different forms and stuff. But originally when they asked us to be on the compilation, we were like, oh, we'll just give them like a song from the new record and like it'll be out early and whatever. And then after this all fucking happened, I was like, I want to give them something that like no one's really heard.
Yeah.
So I gave them the very first demo version of Gates of Heaven. Wow. And Jesse actually recorded it himself. And it's just like super raw and like lo-fi and sounds really cool. Yeah, so awesome. I gave them that. So very that's good. Track 2 on the Bridges compilation.
Yes, check out the Bridges compilation from Crafted Sounds, and you can find their information on the interwebs. Steph Flati, thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. This has been the Pittsburgh Current Podcast, and on the way out, we're going to leave you with another song from the Lopez's new record. This is Like a Prayer. May 11th, head to Spirit for a great show. Get the new record, celebrate Jesse Flati. It's been the Pittsburgh Current Podcast. Have a good night.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.